NDC under the leadership of John Mahama. We are troubled that some of these same persons, upon the demise of President Rawlings, now seek to lead in mourning the man. They have begun to shed crocodile tears. If John Mahama managed to profit from the death of President Mills, he should not be allowed to do same with the demise of our beloved President Rawlings.
This is Top Story with Evans Mensah.
And Top Story is always brought to you by Gassim Cement, the nation builder, Vodafone, the future is exciting, ready, and Belacqua Mineral Water. The former First Lady, Nana Akufo-Addo Rawlings, may be mourning her husband, the late former President Jerry John Rawlings. But today it became apparent that the party she founded, the NDP, has not lost its voice in the wake of this national tragedy. Speaking on her behalf, the General Secretary of the National Democratic Party, Alhaji Mohammed Frimpong, at a news conference launched a scathing attack against the NDC flag bearer John Mahama and other key NDC figures, accusing them of allegedly exploiting the death of her husband, former President Rawlings, for political gain.
Attempts to desecrate Rawlings' legacy before his death. Ladies and gentlemen, some curious events in the past few days have come to our attention, which show clearly that there are attempts by some elements to desecrate the legacy and the name of President Rawlings even upon his demise. These acts are being perpetrated by persons who have shown a desire to constantly humiliate Jerry John Rawlings and his family even when he was alive. It is worth noting that these deliberate orchestrations to humiliate the Rawlings family began long ago. It began right from the period when certain individuals, many of whom were direct beneficiaries of the revolution that Jerry John Rawlings led and the party that he formed at the peril of his life, felt the need to use their temporary hold on the leadership of NDC to relegate him to the background in order to capture the juicy fruits born from his sacrifices. They have tried to harvest where they have not planted. For the past decade, these elements, led principally by the Ahoys and the Mahama group within the NDC, orchestrated a series of coordinated attacks aimed at destroying the legacy of Jerry John Rawlings. This they did by sponsoring political neophytes, JJ himself aptly described as babies with sharp teeth, to unleash barrages of insults and spew damning political rhetoric on the persons of Mr. and Mrs. Rawlings. Even the eventual ostracization of Mr. and Mrs. Rawlings from the NDC was inadequate to appease them. As recently as this year, Professor J. Nana Oboku-Agyeman, the running mate of the NDC, wrote the foreword of a book by Professor Kwame Ahoy, which was aimed at destroying legacy of Jerry John Rawlings. Indeed, in the weeks leading up to his demise, President Rawlings made it clear to all those he had meetings with that he was extremely heartbroken that neither the leadership of the NDC nor the executives had made any statement in defense of the founder nor to correct the lies in the book.
On the line with me right now is the General Secretary of the NDP, Alhaji Mohammed Frimpong, whose voice is just heard there at this news conference. Mr. Frimpong, thank you for time here on Top Story.
Thank you very much, Evans.
So, just clarify for me, this press conference today, Did it have the blessing of Nana Kunido Ajiman Rawlings?
It had a blessing of the entire National Democratic Party, of course, to which Nana Kunido Ajiman Rawlings, flag bearer, belongs.
So, safe to say you were speaking on her behalf?
I was speaking on behalf of the entire party, including National Executive Committee members.
And I'm pretty sure you would have, this was a written address, you would have seen prior to this press conference and approved of everything you were going to say.
We shared, yes, we shared.
Okay. I asked that because I want to just get clarity about a few things you said today. Just give me 2 minutes. I'm going to play back a few of the things you said right now, and because I need clarity on a few of them. This here, you talk about John Dramani Mahama and other key figures in the NDC crying crocodile tears.
Today, the political henchmen who were utilized for such diabolic assignments have been rewarded with high positions in the NDC. And John Mahama and those who picked up the baton are also expecting big posts under a Mahama government. Those who produce forewords of books that cast the founder of the party in bad light are hoping to occupy the highest position in government on the ticket of the party, which was formed through the sweat and blood of Jerry John Rawlings. What did Rawlings do to warrant such disrespect from the NDC under the leadership of John Mahama? All Rawlings did was to be a voice of conscience, reminding them of his enduring principles of probity, accountability, and anti-corruption. Creeds the NDC under John Mahama blatantly disregarded when they assumed the reins of power. As a result, they sought to silence him so as to prevent him from publicly repudiating them for their unprecedented levels of corruption. We are troubled that some of these same persons, upon the demise of President Rawlings, now seek to lead in mourning the man. They have begun to shed crocodile tears. They spent thousands of dollars to sponsor videos made in Washington, D.C. by one Kelvin Taylor, who is tipped to be information minister in the event of a Mahama comeback, to insult President Rawlings in words, some of which we dare not repeat, and posted them all over the world through Facebook, WhatsApp, and other social media platforms. With the apparent endorsement of John Mahama and NDC leadership, Kelvin Taylor said, and I quote, "Rawlings is a modern-day Judas and a hypocrite. He and his sleazy wife are greedy. He behaves as a lapdog to the NPP government and always kisses the ass of Nana Akufo-Addo anytime he gets opportunity to speak about corruption." He also went on to say, and I quote, "J.J. Rawlings is not God. He is bad news and a modern-day Judas."
Mr. Haji Frimpong, you still with me?
Yes, certainly I am.
I didn't hear you provide any evidence to the allegations that John Mahama is behind. You mentioned a certain Kevin Taylor. You then also linked Jainano Poko Ajiman's forward in Mr. Hoy's book as part of this orchestrated plan to denigrate former president, the late Jerry John Rawlings, and that John Mahama was behind all this. I mean, where's the evidence?
Thank you very much. Evans, I mean, why do you need proof? You have a party with the leadership that thinks that they have a founder in the late president. And once all these, happenings were going on, you did not hear any effort, at making sure that they were either stopped or whoever thought that it was not proper, would then, let's say, write in anything to dissociate themselves. First of all, let me take the book Working with Rawlings. Evans, did you ever hear that the hierarchy of the NDC officially, even wrote to dissociate themselves, from let's say, either the statements or whatever in the book.
I mean, why should they? This is a private enterprise done by Mr. Ahoy.
Well, it is not not only that, but you have your founder who was being dragged in the mud. And if you really felt, as you do now, at his demise, think that, you really held him dearly, at least there should be an action to demonstrate it. It is not necessarily, thinking that because it is a private enterprise. Then in the same way, at his demise, I mean, it's an affair of the family. So why do you think you can come and associate and say that it should be an affair of the party that must send him a befitting send-off? Associated.
But NDC is a party Jerry John Rawlings founded.
And at the same time, it is those who have associated themselves and who are in the top hierarchy of the party, calling them stalwarts, who have also cast a slur on him. Look at the whole content of working with Rawlings. And of course, the forward was clearly altered by, the running mates. These are not things that you hide, whichever way. Probably, Evans, you might find a way of saying that it's a private enterprise. But how we associate Kwame Ahoy, in the ranking in the NDC, so that his action, brings to bear on the totality of the leadership of the NDC. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, but how do you blame all that on one man's name?
No,
John Mahama?
Well, the woman who uttered it is what we are mentioning.
Yeah, but you blame a lot on John Mahama
because he's the leader of the party. He's the leader of the party, and that is the constitution. That's what.
But here's the thing. Just a couple of, in fact, when former President Rawlings, may he so rest in peace, died, and the NDC held a vigil.
Yes.
You talk about Jainado Opoku-Agyeman writing a foreword.
Yes.
John Mahama discloses that he consulted Mr. Rawlings, and Mr. Rawlings' choice also was Jainado Opoku-Agyeman. So the man before his death endorsed the same woman you now call names, and John Mahama indeed reached out to him.
Evans, it cannot be supported.
Are you denying that he consulted him and Mr. Rawlings?
And I don't accept it. I don't deny it. I don't accept it. That's what I'm saying. We are looking at a founder, not even the person per se, but the ideals that he stood for, his impassioned vision that had led the country to a fourth republic, running for 28 years. These are things that we must state clearly and make sure that going forward, those who claim they are his associates, really understood him. And as far as we are concerned, it has got a serious bearing on the 7th December elections, and that is what we are trying to bring out. That the ideals for which Rawlings was a founder, of the Fourth Republic, and the association of people who are proclaiming, to have understood him, and for that matter, are inspired by those ideals, cannot be supported. They can't be truthful, as far as we are concerned. We belong to the same political stable, and then looking at it, we don't think our counterparts in the NDC really understood Rawlings very well.
Okay, so you also today allege that the NDC's flag bearer, John Mahama, somehow is seeking to make political capital from the demise of former President Rawlings. I want you to stay on the line with me. Also joining me right now on this angle to this conversation about the political capital duress, as has been suggested today by the NDP, is Dr. Ali Lusedu, political scientist, University of Ghana. But Ahaji Mohammed from POM, kindly stay on the line for me, because I want to play a bit of what you said on this and interrogate the reasoning behind these claims.
If John Mahama managed to profit from the death of President Mills, he should not be allowed to do same with the demise of our beloved President Rawlings, and Ghanaians should not and will not oblige him that. The hypocrisy of the NDC. When Jerry Rawlings was alive, John Mahama so desperately wanted to silence him. And now that JJ is no more, John Mahama finds it expedient to utilize his death to galvanize support for his weakening base within the NDC rank and file, and the country at large, to salvage his 2020 campaign, which is going nowhere. Suddenly, the individuals in the NDC under the current leadership of John Mahama, who publicly vilified Jerry John Rawlings, have rediscovered a new voice proclaiming themselves to be the true adherents of his ideals. Those who publicly describe JJ using unpleasant words such as calling him a barking dog are now hailing him. Why? In what was widely reported by media outlets in Ghana, John Mahama, during the NDC's unity walk in Ho, in the Volta region in 2018, was on record to have labeled J.J. Rawlings as a Volta god with a small g, who did not deserve to be worshipped by Voltarians. In fact, he is quoted as saying, "We have worshipped the Volta god for so long. It is time to build a party beyond individuals. No sacrifice will please him." This was a classic situation where John Mahama made a futile attempt to turn Voltarians against their hero. It did not end there. Voltarians who felt they were going to be safe under the leadership of John Mahama were given the shock of their lives when Mahama deliberately sponsored candidates to remove all Voltarians from the leadership of the NDC during the national executive elections.
I mean, Haji Frimpong, you say in the sound clip we just heard there that
Yes.
John Mahama seeking to benefit from the death of former President Rawlings.
Yeah.
I mean, how is that? I mean, where has he said anywhere that he should be voted for just merely because the former president is dead?
Well, Evans, you don't go saying that, my mentor or my idol is diseased and therefore use that as sympathy. That is not what we do. You go telling your followers that, your founder is no more, and that his demise must galvanize you. His ideals must be followed, ideals which you didn't understand, the person that you didn't even understand, and using that, as a moment to call people or a moment to rally people around your team. So that is what we're talking about. Ideals that you don't understand, the person that you didn't understand once he was even alive, and it's clear that should be highlighted.
I mean, so really, what is wrong with one paying tribute to a man who, of course, founded the party he now leads and talking about his ideals?
Well, thank you. But there is a total deviation. Evans, there's what we call a revisionist path. The point is that J.J. Rawlings' impassioned vision of what I call double-ended political puzzle, I don't think has been understood by NDC, by the crop of leadership of the NDC even today. No way have they understood him. And just quite recently, when the president was trying to mourn his boss, he was saying that he was an enigma, and we say no, Rawlings was not an enigma. We simply, if you want to describe Rawlings, he was an individual, a leader with vision who exuded humanity, and that he acted any moment there was a hindrance by any circumstance, to prevent, what he saw as humanity flowing, out of
yeah, Mr. Frimpong, clarify this for me.
That's what I'm saying.
Talking about benefits.
Yeah.
Is Nana Kunuda Jiman Rawlings, wife of the late former President Rawlings, is she still on the ballot for December 7?
Yes, she is.
So she's still running and contesting?
She will run and contest.
I mean, some may suggest, as you've suggested tonight, that she will also seek to ride on the sympathy votes.
Well, I disagree with you, Evans. Definitely espouse, just like a Siamese twin, with, a partner. Spouses are Siamese twins. So all what we are saying is that why should she seek to draw sympathy votes? It is quite clear that for over 60 years they have been together. and they understood each other better. What NDP is particularly trying to state is that, look, the ideals of the late president has served us. There is a secret in it, and it needs people's clear understanding so that we can sustain the Fourth Republic. What we are saying that, whatever it is, don't let us turn it into a political puzzle. People must be sincere about it. And there is a phenomenon going on now. People are masking their incompetence and what have you in a new phenomenon of what we are seeing as political goody, which, of course, is not akin to the Rawlins's ideal. In Rawlins's ideal, we place leadership over goodies, and we think that, leadership is sufficient for goodies. And the other way around, goodies are not sufficient for leadership.
Stay with me. Stay with me. I have a different point. Stay with me. Briefly. Stay with me. I want to bring in Dr. Ali Duseidu now. Doc, briefly on this subject of political capital. I mean, the NDP is accusing the NDC of attempting to exploit the death of a former president for political gain. Do you see their point?
Thank you so much, Evans. It is highly possible that when a prominent person like the former President John Rawlings passes on in an election year of this kind, all political parties may try in a way to share his ideals, to buy into his character and trait and philosophy and ideology, just in the name of winning a sympathy vote. And I tend to believe that the press conference that the NDP held today was actually aimed at winning the same sympathy vote. If that wasn't the purpose, then I believe it fit into the grand scheme or plan of somebody else, maybe to deny the NDC of a sympathy vote.
Who could that person be? Who stands to benefit, if not the NDC or the NDP itself?
For now, I will not be able to tell. But the posture, the utterances, the attack that characterized the president that was released today suggested that it had a motive of denying. And the national chairman was very categorical that the John Dramani Mahama won. He used the sympathy of the death of Atamos to win 2012. And he should not be allowed to use the death of Rawlings to win elections. So that means there's a grand scheme, either from the NDP or something else, or an institution or a person that is actually influencing this. But
did you say either from the MPP or the NDC? Just clarify that for me.
You mean either from?
You mentioned either from the NDC or the MP.
I said either from a person or an institution.
Okay.
That is influencing this. You see, Evans, sympathy votes do not just come like that. There were several reasons that influence sympathy voting. And one of them had to do with the perception of compassion for the person who has passed. And that perception is influenced by two important issues. One, shared identity. If somebody passes on and people begin to identify themselves to him or her in terms of maybe a particular identity, nationality, religion, ethnic group, or all those things, actually heighten that element of sympathy for that fellow and can translate into a sympathy vote. People may not share the same identity, but they may share the same experience with him. Rawlings was a down-to-earth person. He identified with the poor and then the less privileged. So people who have lived with him closely can share this experience, and that can translate into a sympathy vote. And if you look at these two issues, either shared identity or shared experiences, the NDC is very close to Rawlings in this form and in winning a sympathy vote based on the perception of compassion. But the other issue has to do with the unification of public opinion regarding this compassion. When a prominent person dies like this, the less the controversy, the more the sympathy vote, the less the controversy, the more the rallying point for public opinion towards who he was, and that can gravitate towards the sympathy vote. We still haven't buried the former president. I think it's even less than 3 weeks. But you look at the sympathy that is coming. Prominent people in the MPP have made statements to the fact that when he was alive, they treated him, he was a hero, and then they made him a zero, and a whole lot of things. Now, NDP is out with a press conference. So you are not seeing that the more controversial his death becomes, the more polarizing it would be for the unification of public opinion towards the issue of sympathy vote.
Yeah, I mean, and talking about that, and the NDC, they have a statement out tonight on the back of the NDP's press conference. My colleague Latif Idris joins me with it. There's a directive from the party. What is it?
Exactly. So it's signed by the National Communications Officer, Sami Jemfi, issued on the 23rd November 2020. It goes as all communicators and officials of the NDC across the 16 regions of Ghana are hereby directed not to comment on the press conference held this afternoon by the NDP, which is intended to divert our attention from the stinking Ejapa scandal, Martin Amidu's resignation, and matters arising from same. Under no circumstance should any communicator or party official comment on the content of the NDP's presser. Let's focus on propagating the superior policies and programs that John Mahama and the party have for Ghanaians. Also, let's focus our energies on amplifying the stinking Ejapa scandal, Martin Amidu's resignation, and death threats on his life, and other corruption and nepotistic scandals being supervised by President Akufo-Addo. The victory of the NDC is coming again. Let's remain focused. Thank you.
Okay, so that's a statement from the party. Well, it's not a statement, it's a directive.
It's a directive.
To
Actually,
the
we
entire
reached out
party
to
base.
Sami Jemfi and he
And he
mentioned that the
confirmed
party
it,
is
of
not
course.
going.
Let me quickly get a quick word from Ahaji Frimpong. This press conference you did, was it a diversionary tactic to shift attention from the Japan and other deals as the NDC are suggesting their statement, very briefly?
Indeed, you need these ideals to get to the people to appreciate whatever issues take place or goes on in the country. You know, we are seeing in the light of what we are terming as the two-ended political jigsaw of the late president. And of course, we are saying that, you know, one end of it is what is making the media vibrant, and that we are not using that as a weapon, you know, to scuttle discussion on the Ajapa deal.
So this is not a diversionary tactic.
No, it's not a diversionary.
Okay, I want to say a big thank you to you, sir. Also, thank you, Dr. Alidu Seidu, for your thoughts on this matter as well. I want to join us on Newsnight because there is more from the campaign trail for you tonight as we count down to D-Day. 14 days to go. Stay with us.